Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Welcome to another collab video between myself and the wonderful Chris Brennan of Storybreakers, and a very happy Friday the 13th to you. And speaking of, today is all about Friday the 13th and how to possibly continue the story, continue the franchise with an installment, a spin-off, a reboot, a one-off. Today's video was really fun to do. Like the first one Chris and I did about the Christmas slasher last year, I was nervous going into this, but my idea revolves around what this channel is all about. And you know, my love and appreciation for screen use props, artifacts, stuff like that. I wanted to incorporate that into my pitch along with the real life actors that have portrayed Jason. So we are delving into meta territory. I do know that Lee over at Drum Dums and the great Cody Leach have both done videos as well with Chris. So I'm really keen to see what their pitches are, but this was a lot of fun. So as silly and as wacky as it is at times with my pitch, hope you guys get a kick out of it. Of course, want to hear your thoughts down below on how you'd possibly spin it. Happy Friday the 13th, guys. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Welcome to Storybreakers, the show where we come up with a brand new film idea off the top of our heads. I'm your host, Chris Brennan, and today we're back with our latest mini-series. The topic this time is Friday the 13th. For this run, I'm going to be joined by horror creators and critics from around the world to break story on one simple question. What should the next chapter of Jason Voorhees' franchise look like? And as always, let us know in the comments what direction you would take this legendary franchise. Also, this is a touring series, which means many of the episodes will be premiering on the channels of our guest contributors, but we'll be bringing all the sessions together in one dedicated Friday the 13th playlist on the Storybreakers YouTube channel. For updates on who's involved and where to find other episodes, follow us on Instagram @Storybreakers, and make sure you're subscribed to both the Storybreakers channel and our guest channels so you don't miss an episode. Okay, let's get into it. Joining me for today's Friday the 13th session is cosplayer and YouTuber Chris Stanley. Chris, welcome to the show.
Chris, thanks for having me back, man. You've boosted my confidence since last time. So, you know, covering Friday the 13th, I'm raring to go.
Oh, my pleasure. Like, that was a blast last time. And now we're back. But my first question is, what is your relationship with the Friday the 13th franchise?
Funny enough, and I've never spoken about this, I wanted to do a video about this. It was actually the Friday the 13th TV series, which has nothing to do with Jason at all. And I thought that TV series was about the Friday the 13th films, you know, the haunted antique store and, you know, cousins take it over. I'm like, where's the hockey mask at? Where's Jason at? So I always equated that originally to Friday the 13th. And then as I got older, I'm like, okay, no, these are separate. It's sort of like Freddy's Nightmares, even though Freddy was in Freddy's Nightmares. And then just one by one, like I didn't watch them out of order, man. I couldn't tell you. I'm going to say maybe part 7 or part 8 was the first Friday films that I watched. But before that, I was just more fascinated with the design of Jason, you know, the hockey mask. And, you know, for a young kid, like that's enticing. You're like, ooh, what's that hockey mask about? And then eventually saw them all. So, yeah, and I just love that we get something new with the look of Jason each time. And my favorite is part 7, definitely. And part 4. I think those are just aesthetically, like they're really, really nice. So it's going to be interesting to see where this Crystal Lake TV series is going to go with Linda Cardellini as Pamela. I'm excited, but also, you know, this whole Jason universe, you know, the whole Angry Orchard thing, which is no longer up on YouTube, but just the future of the franchise is going to be interesting to see. So that's why I'm excited to do this, because it's that notion of what if, you know, we can dream.
Yeah, and considering like they went on a banger of a run in the 80s from like nearly a film a year, and haven't, and I think that's part of why the legacy is maintained, is because they just kept going. and it's been radio silence since 2009. Like, there's an entire generation that hasn't had this. And I get the legal and the rights issues, but it's like, wow, when you have a film that's based on a date, it's like you've got your release date in the title. Like, you know, it's amazing how like will somebody make another one? You know, so yeah, like that's why I think it's so fascinating. They've went so many different ways with it, but they haven't touched it in a long time. So the question is, what do you do with it now? Which brings us to today, where we're going to break story on what we believe the next installment, the next chapter of the Friday the 13th film franchise should be, and we're doing it off the top of our heads. So my next question, Chris, is, are we doing reboot, prequel, sequel, versus, since he had a Freddy versus Jason? What are you feeling? What are you vibing with? How would you do it if you had the control?
We're going to go meta, my friend. We're going to take the Wes Craven's New Nightmare approach.
Oh, really?
So, like I said to you before we went live and started recording, I didn't think Cody's video had gone up yet, and I didn't want to watch it because I didn't want to get any ideas or anything like that. And I was nervous. I'm like, where can we go with this franchise? And I honed in on something that I love and love doing on this channel, and that's covering props that go up to auction, like these pieces that go up to auction. So I came up with the idea, what if all the actors that play Jason get together once a year? And, you know, we obviously no longer have Ted White and, I had to look it up again. Richard Brooker, Ted White, Steve Dash are no longer with us, those Jason actors. But the rest of them get together. And, you know, they happen to be in the vicinity of where the prop store is in Los Angeles. And going under the hammer are a bunch of screen-used Jason props from all of their films and their turns as Jason. They go to the auction house, and this is where I need you to help me fill in those blanks.
Of course.
During the auction, with the hammer, it sparks something every time. So let's say the Friday the 13th Part 7 hockey mask is up, ready for auction, for bidding. And Kane's there, you know, watching his baby go under the hammer. And with each of that hammer, something happens. And the Friday the 13th Part 7 Jason just materializes. And then with each one, like CJ Graham's Jason from Friday the 13th Part 6, you could even have Ari Lehman there, who played young Jason in the first Friday the 13th, coming out of the water. And all of a sudden, Mongoloid young Jason's running around, and it just becomes this meta, like, just fight for survival. All these Jasons going against their makers, well, the actors that portrayed them. And just, that's like the shell. And then now I've got to figure out the guts of it.
Yeah. No, it's super interesting. And what I was saying to you right before we recorded too, is that I'm amazed at how different everybody's ideas are when you do things like Halloween or Friday the 13th, where a lot of times when you come into this, you're like, well, it's quite a tight box and it does not too much wiggle room. And then people just really surprise you with their innovation and ingenuity. I love this idea. Why not? Like, also, they've taken this premise as far as humanly possible into dreams, into space. So why not into the meta as well?
Fuck it. Why not? Yeah. Meta's so like prevalent now. And again, this is more going back to my roots of my love for film props and auctions and, you know, seeing, you know, what they go for. It's crazy, but also having all of the Jason crew together, and they're kind of, you know, saying goodbye to those pieces that, you know, made them who they are before they go to their new owners. And then all of a sudden the Jasons that they played are now, they've materialized, and it's just this fight for survival, whether it takes place in the auction house or they spill out into Los Angeles. Again, it's so, and I came up with this completely sober as well. So
sounds good. It is a cheap joke I have from what you were saying. Usually in these films, there's a harbinger, right? Somebody who warns people about
Yep.
like what could happen. And when you were
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
like they're going up forbidden, I was like, oh, imagine the guy who like is giving away these items. Like they found all the memorabilia in one place, and the guy's like, oh, like they're forbidden. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna bid them off. And they walk out and it's like, no, it's forbidden. It's forbidden instead of forbidding. It's like these are all cursed. Like, and he's just trying to warn them, like, these should not go out into other people's possessions. The second that somebody possesses this, they get possessed or something like that, you know? So it's just, it's so crazy. Like, because then immediately we get the person who warns them, oh, do not sell these. Like, do not at all. Like you think they're movie props, but there's something about this legacy. It's enduring. These things have been sitting here, festering for so long. Like, there's a reason they've been sitting here. We got to keep them out of reach, you know? And they get sold, and away it goes. So, yeah. I love this idea. So we're saying that the main character, or the actors who play Jason are basically the main characters. Are we going to bring in some of the other characters from the Jason films as well? Like some of the final
absolutely.
girls?
Like you could have some of the final girls throughout the franchise. Like you could even have a thing where the lot for Freddy vs. Jason stuff comes up for auction, and Ken Kersinger's Jason materializes, and for 10 seconds, Robert's Freddy from Freddy vs. Jason materializes, and with that, Jason just slashes him out of the way in half, and Freddy's gone. Like, just a quick little like, yes, you're there, gone. But yeah, I think also just having those little nods to the final girls of the series. Again, it would be chock full of so much fan service, but also at the heart of it, you know, these dudes, these big burly dudes coming together, you know, once a year, and, you know, just paying their respects to, you know, what for the most part put their names on the map in the horror world.
I love it. And do you see this taking place at like an auction house, or would this be something that could also happen around like a Comic-Con to like then fill out this bigger space with fans and memorabilia? And so you'd have like fans of Jason, but other meta horror fans as well. Like, it could be really fun doing it in an auction house. It might be too much to do it at a Comic-Con, but just to kind of open up the possibilities of where this takes place. I think if it's in the auction house, it's got to spill out into like the real world. That might be the third act, actually. That could be the cabin in the woods, like mayhem. Like they're trying to contain these Jasons within this space, and then they burst out. And then that's that Lost World T-Rex in the city. That is cabin in the woods. All the monsters escape. I think that I'm kind of feeling that structure. Wherever this is taking place, once they're out, it's like contain them, like defeat them, but like let's keep them in this building. They're not even aware of what's outside, so we need to keep them in, because if they get out, it's pandemonium. And of course, it's going to be pandemonium.
Yeah, exactly. You do raise a good point with the Comic-Con approach. Because like now and then at a Comic-Con, it could be the anniversary of something, and they'll have the costumes and props on display, like not for auction, but just for display. And it could be one of those things where all of the Jason actors are at their booths, and they have a Friday the 13th museum or display for the sake of it down there with all of their hockey masks, their wardrobe pieces. And they're like, boys, how about we all just go down, have a visit for old time's sake. And then it all manifests, and everything, as soon as like the maker is reunited once again with that prop as it's been festering, that's when they materialize and like smash out of the display case. And it could be one of those things where one of the Jasons walks up to a Jason cosplayer, and it's just like they just eye each other like up and down, don't say a word, and just move on, and the cosplayer is like spared. But then again, that's when it gets so busy. But I think, like you said, spilling into like if it's like the prop store in LA, like it's not in the thick of LA, like geographically it's a bit far away, but you could cheat it a bit where all of them, all of the Jasons are walking down like the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They could, because the Elm Street house is a couple of blocks away, just off Sunset Boulevard. They could walk past the Elm Street house and kind of just look, and all at the same time, just kind of like tilt their head, and just. But yeah, but then also, where are the stakes, and where's that brutality? Like, I feel like I'm going into real silly territory, which is some parts of the franchise.
Yeah.
But there's
another take we could have where we actually make one of the Jason actors the actual antagonist. I think, is it Derek Mears is the 2009?
Yes, he's the latest one. Yeah.
So he had it once, never did it again. What if he's the first one to be attacked and killed by Jason, like by the Jasons, right? But it turns out he's the one who activated them, and he has the mask on. So like, there's this reveal that it was his plan because he's mad that he was the last one and didn't get any more. So you actually turn this into a motivation from one of the guys, and it's a twist. And then the other Jason actors are now having to go against him, the last Jason, like the final girl and the last Jason. I don't know. I feel like then you have a character who is like behind this that you can kind of fight, in essence, who is a Jason. Otherwise, it's like you're just fighting the spirits of Jason, but I feel like that could be really interesting. And you have this like human motivation and very actory, like, why didn't I get another chance? Why did Kane get all those chances? I got one chance, and it just stopped. And like that could be the fun twist at the end. There, you've given a face to one of the villains who is a Jason and regarded as one of the best Jasons as well. Like, a lot of people think that like his performance and his stance like just really fit the bill. So I was like, I don't know. I think it could be fun that if the twist was one of the Jasons is behind it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of meat on the machete for that one. I think it could be one of those things where it's like, I'm thinking of Scream. When they reveal why they're doing what they're doing at the end of each Scream film, and they go into their Machiavellian scheme. But yeah, Derek could be like, I signed up for 3 films and only got 1. And then you could have CJ Graham off to the side, and he's like, I only got 1. And Derek's like, shut up, CJ.
I love it.
But yeah,
I think that could be really cool. And we think he's dead. He could be the first one who was got early. And they're like, oh my gosh, they got Derek Mears. So now it's like, it's a shocking moment that kicks the entire thing off. It puts stakes in as like, well, these guys can get killed. Okay. But then the twist is it was actually him, and he's been orchestrating it, which kind of feels nice. And it's simple enough in the spirit of these kind of slashers, So yeah. All right. So I think we have to go back to the beginning. And I love the idea that every year they meet up, and there's this little circle of them. They have a couple of beverages, and it's kind of like, I think there's a book by Grady Hendrix, I think his name is. It's like the Final Girl Support Group. This feels like the slasher support group. It's like all these slashers kind of meet up, and they just reminisce and chat about the times they were Jason. I like that. That's probably where they find out about this auction. And actually, you know what? I still like the auction idea with the hammer and thing. I actually like that these have been under lock and key, and that they're going out into the world. And these guys are like, we should just see it. Like, let's see our legacy kind of finally. Yeah. I actually really like that. It's sweet. It's clean. It's nostalgic. And they're like, what do you say, guys? And Derek might be one of the people pushing for it too, which kind of is setting us up. It's like, this guy's like, hey, look, I don't need it. It's been in my past. And some others like, I wouldn't mind getting one last look at the machete and the mask, Yeah. And so, are we saying, though, is it auction house or Comic Con?
I think auction house, because that makes sense. So. If, each strike of the hammer, something like churns up the festering rage with these props. And it's like, I think it's in one of the Harry Potters of, the book that like munches everything, and Harry has to like put the belt buckle around it, and it's like it has like fangs or something.
Right.
Just something like that. Like you could see, like, hang on, I'll grab this guy, but like, let's just say like Kane's hockey mask is going under the hammer, and with each strike of the hammer, it's like it starts like shaking and everything, and then all of a sudden, the underlook, the makeup starts like, materializing around, but then that's the thing. Like, I was trying to think. I'm like, have there been hammers in Friday the 13th? I'll have to go back and check if there was like a hammer kill or something. And if like one of the props was one of the screen used hammers from one of the Friday films, and for some reason the auctioneer is using it, which in reality you would not do as an auctioneer with a screen used prop. But I was trying to just try and find, I was grasping at straws trying to figure out how that could kind of be a thing with manifesting and festering, and these props are like you said, forbidden. There's a nice little part there with like the auctioneer being like to Kane or something like you said, and he's like, guys, these props are forbidden, and Kane's just like, yeah, it's exactly what we're gonna do, we're gonna bid. And I
think keep the auction hammer, because that's got to be the first weapon. Like once that's like these things are like shaken, there's a bit of odd. And once like the final mask has been basically auctioned off, then the lights go out, there's sparks. Like we can see that there's something happening with the masks. The lights dimly go back on, and the auctioneer's like, oh, just it's an old building or whatever. And then he gets the hammer like through the back of his head, through his mouth or something. Like that feels like the first weapon, like that feels like a brutal kill on stage. And all our Jason actors stand up startled, and then emerging from the shadows on the auction stage are all the Jasons in the masks that were auctioned off. And I was like, I feel like that's just clean. Like that's the perfect, like that's a really iconic way to introduce this concept. You got the Jason actors on one side, a standoff basically.
Yeah.
And then all the people, like it's a crowd of people, lots of fans, lots of cosplayers. And then this is like a very brutal like moment. That's the first act right there. And this is a carnage moment here where the Jasons go ballistic in that room and just butcher everybody. And the props start turning into the real items, like the prop machete. Like that's a real machete.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't when I used it. And it's like, well, it is now, and then slice, and somebody's head just. I can see a moment where these two actors are talking to each other, and they're like, they're prop machetes. I think they're real, and somebody's head floats between the two of them as they speak, and it's like, I think they're real.
And then like this headless body just like wriggling past them, and they're like, shit, okay. I think that can be the moment of like the latest Silent Night, Deadly Night with Rowan Campbell, where he butchers all those people in the barn. But then also it's like the bus scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Netflix one from a couple of years ago. The influencers all on the bus, and the dude's like, try anything, you're cancelled, bro, and Leatherface just goes through them all. It could be like that. But again, some people still being like, oh, that's a prop, that's fake. But then like, do you go down the rabbit hole of the Necronomicon that was in Jason Goes to Hell being there, and then Deadites come out? It's like, again, then there's that crossover, but I feel like that's spilling a bit too much into too much, because we've got a lot of Jasons and a lot of carnage and a lot of action.
I think if you're going to go to that level, that might be the goal of Derek, or one of the, like, what's the motivation beyond carnage? That could be the bigger threat. Like, keep the book away from them. I actually don't think we need that, though. I think this is more of a celebration of Friday the 13th.
Yes.
And you're kind of getting too complicated. It's a complicated enough idea that we can kind of get across in a simple manner. And I think so far it has been quite straight. If you start introducing the Book of the Dead, that is a play on another film, I think you're losing the thread a bit. And I think the fun becomes too complicated. Because again, I think this is turned into just a massive celebration over this beloved franchise, and just going balls to the wall with it, which is quite fun. So I think at that point though, like basically all our actors are probably going to want to get out. So they escape and they barricade the door. But now they're like, what do we do? And it's like, I don't know. Some of them want to run. Some of them want to do something. But I think they have to admit, like, these guys, like, they can't get out. Like, oh, yeah, and probably in that mayhem, Derek goes into the crew and disappears. And they're like, they got Derek. Like, they got Derek. So he's gone. But I can just see this moment where, like, they've barricaded the auction house door. And they're like, I think we need to get them to be like, we need to put a stop to these guys, but it shouldn't be that decision immediately. It should be a back and forth about like, let's just run. Let's call the cops. And they're like, we've been these characters. They're unstoppable. Yeah. What are we going to do about this? And it's like, somebody has to do something, you know? I can just see that nice conversation. But it's going to get really ramped up. I can't think of this actually not just spiraling out of control because these things are just on this like chaos mission now. So I guess what happens next? They've smashed up the auction room. They're barricaded
like you said,
in.
Barricaded them in, and that's when they have. I reckon that's when I'm not going to say heartfelt, but have that banter between all of the actors as they're pushing against the doors, and the doors are like barging. They're trying to barge open and everything. And that's when they can say to each other, no, we breathe life into these characters and these pieces that are now trying to kill everyone. It's up to us to stop it.
Right.
And I think as, a conversation could be happening, a machete like smashes through and then goes back in. And that's when they're like, okay, we got to stop them. And that's then, I think, when it can spill out. Trying to think where a good reveal would be for, the Scooby-Doo moment with Derek Mears.
I think it's way later. Because I just don't think we can keep them in this auction house. I think our biggest issue, I was saying earlier, like they spill out, like they're going to get out. Like we can't keep them here. But if anything, our actors could be chased by them. And I'm thinking we want to weapon up the actors. It's an auction house, so they might run into a different room with other items, not even props, but like maybe ancient weapons that are up for sale soon. Like they're basically they go into the auction items storage area and they start like piecing together like weapons for themselves and like shields and helmets and stuff. I think that could be so much. You could have so much fun because we have complete free reign to decide on what is in that room. And since we're playing with, they're selling Friday the 13th props today, they could be selling anything else. It could be like medieval outfits and like knight's armor and stuff like this.
You could have that one tiny moment. Like, forget what I said before about Freddy, but I think if we're going to go that route of they're in the storeroom, in the archive room, Ken Kersinger puts on a screen-used Freddy glove from Freddy vs. Jason and is like, nah. And like puts it aside and then finds a big like spear or something. And he's like, yeah, that's more like it.
I actually had a very similar idea. I thought about like a knight's lance, like something absurd, because then they could actually use it. Like on one of the first attacks by these Jasons, or maybe one, like the Jasons separate and one of them does get caught by the actors and like gets lanced into the wall. So like he's stuck lance to the wall. Like this is just so absurd. This giant long blade used for like knights who ride horses and lance each other. And the actors race at one of the Jasons and just stick him to a wall. And it's like, he's there for now. He'll probably get out, but at least we've contained one of them. I think that's what we're going to try to do. Like they can't overcome a swarm of Jasons, but they can separate them and kind of detain them a little bit. I think that's kind of how strategically, if we're writing this, that's kind of the only way we could probably do it. Like divide and conquer, separate and detain, because we can't have them kill the Jasons. I think we want to keep all of them for the final act, and we'll figure out what happens later, some magical thing of magic, whatever. But I think that kind of thing could be fun. And you get a little bit of extra time in the auction house before it spills out too. So they detain one with a lance. Also, there's another thing that I was going to bring up. I'm rewatching Friday the 13th films at the moment. I've watched 7 of them in the past few weeks.
Yep.
There really is nothing to do with the date Friday the 13th. It's barely mentioned. In the first one, they're like, it's actually Jason's birthday. So it's an incident that happened based on a birthday, not an unlucky day. I was like, why don't we start getting like breaking glass, going under ladders? Like, where's the superstition involved with the holiday in the franchise named after the date? So there could be a bit of fun with that could be had. Maybe that's kind of relating to what stops them, or maybe that's just a bit of fun that we have just on a, like, not a dorky level or obnoxious, but, you know, like maybe Kane Hodder goes under a ladder going to the auction. Or like, what are you doing, man? It's like, what? It's like, it's Friday the 13th. Like, why'd you go under a ladder? You know, like things like that. I think one of the Jasons could be like stabbed with the like a Jason tries to attack an actor, breaks a mirror. They take a shard of glass, stab him in the neck. He goes down, and it's like, look, you got the broken glass. You know, and like try to start incorporating the superstitions. At one point, you have the Jasons and the actors in this brutal standoff, and then a black cat just walks right between them, and everyone stops going, wait, what? Like, what does that mean? You're like, I don't know. It's just, I'm amazed that it has nothing to do with the date, even though it's titled after Friday the 13th. I'm like, where's the broken glass?
I've never actually thought of it that way, to be honest. Like, but that's a fun little Easter egg to pop into, like walking under a ladder, and just like they could be doing like painting or something at the auction house, and Kane walks under it, or Ken or CJ, and it's just like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? That's bad luck. And he's like, I don't believe in that.
That could be so good. Like, considering we're 12 films deep and they've never done that, like, what a great time to do it. Like, think of it this way. If you were asked to make a film, and these didn't exist, but it's based on the date Friday the 13th, I think you would immediately go to Superstition. It's just these films exist, so you don't think of it that way. But it's like, if someone's like, hey, Chris, we got a title, Friday the 13th, make a film of it. I'm like, well, clearly something bad happens once you break mirrors and think you avoid black cats. I'm like, they went nowhere near that. So it could be a little fun that we can have, especially if we're playing in the meta. And I think those scenarios could work well if they're not so in-your-face dorky, but just kind of these kind of tongue-in-cheek moments where everyone stops going, like, what are you doing? Like, it's Friday the 13th, you know?
Cool. No, absolutely. And again, it's just like that little tongue-in-cheek, like, why Friday the 13th? And like you said, it's based around a birthday, and this kid drowned because he wasn't being supervised initially. But where does the superstition come into play? And again, I think that's just a nice little acknowledgement of the superstition part, but just having a bit of fun with it.
You could bring them all back too.
Like,
you know, like the ladder can become a weapon. I mean, even the cat can become a weapon, to be honest.
They
like,
swing the cat around.
So you can make it a fun bit, but it's also given us new, unique kills as well that kind of tie into the actual date, which is quite another level. Because we do need to come up with some more actual kills. It's like the carnage candy of this should actually be probably, if anything, more up front and center than the plot, because the plot is so simplistic in Jasons have came back and they're terrorizing the actors and they're going to break into LA or whatever. So yeah. But what were you going to say?
I think also in terms of the reveal of Derek and why he's doing what he's doing, I think also it'd be an interesting little tidbit if we see the actors go up against one by one their counterparts, and you could have, say, Ken Kersinger grab, it's not a machete, but it's something bladed, and set it on fire, like in Freddy vs. Jason in the Cornfield Massacre, where the machete's on fire and Jason's obviously on fire. But just like little bits of that, it's kind of like getting a taste of your own medicine and like, because in part 6, Jason goes down under the river because that's where under the lake, because that's where they found him in 7. Yeah, with the propeller.
Yes.
I mean, they kind of did that in the they kind of did that in the Angry Orchard thing with the boat propeller. See, this is because this is possibly the dialogue heavy part, but also within like that pocket of all the Jasons are on the loose, there needs to be carnage, but with stakes. So like, you get innocent bystanders for sure, but that's like going back to when you suggest, do we have some of the final girls be a part of this? And that's sort of like how it would be. Look, if we just said Comic-Con, great, but then it wouldn't make sense that things were going up for auction. I mean, I think things have gone up for auction at a Comic-Con, but it would make sense for all of the actors to be there in the one spot, which is convenient. Because then stakes can get raised when, let's say, some of the safety of some of the actresses comes under threat from the Jasons, and the boys are like, shit. But also vice versa, it could be one of those things where the final, like the actresses who played the final girls have to be a final girl. It's like, Heather having to become Nancy again in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and actually having to be a real life final girl. Something like that.
And protect her Jason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
What I'm hearing from this, and what actually gives the Jason actors their arcs makes sense. So I think what we're going to eventually get to is when they're trying to take the Jasons on, this not working. They lance one, it pops out. And when they try to fight the Jasons that they didn't play, it doesn't work. So they realize, I've got to take on my own Jason. I basically have to destroy the legacy. I've got to remove this thing. It's my responsibility. Only me who played this Jason can defeat this Jason, in this kind of way of like, we're not living in the past anymore. So as like an emotional arc for them, they have to like put away this iconic character that they played. But in a film version, they have to destroy it. And I think that's where you're getting to at the end. And you can have them all individually taking on their unique Jason. I love what you say with like, in a way that fits the film that they were in as well. That kind of plays in how they defeated Jason before, until they come to one more Jason and they go, which one is that? And then the mask is pulled off. It's Derek. And it's like, oh, he's now become the actual Jason, the unstoppable juggernaut. But none of them have defeated him. So what do we do? And I think that's also probably where we're trying to get to. That's where the final girls can really kind of come in, and they all help defeat the final Jason. Which is probably the title of this, by the way.
Friday the 13th, the final Jason. I love that. It can be like that shining moment of the actresses coming in, as well as, like, I'm not going to say backup, but again, having to rise to the occasion and be a real life final girl. But also it's that it could be an analogy as well. It sounds very cheesy, but an analogy for you can't always live in the past, and sometimes you don't have to destroy it, but get rid of it, put it away, and move forward. And it could be one of those things where, they have to destroy their counterpart Jason. And I think
that's what it is. And it's set up though from the beginning. They meet every year to reminisce. It's completely set up. Like, they have to move on. It happened. It's done. They were pining over like, oh, they're selling them the props, and it's like they're just living in the past. They have to confront it and overcome it. I think that's actually great. I think the actors would have a real good time with it too. I think the fans would enjoy it. You'd have to help me though, with what actor played what Jason, to then figure out how they killed him. So I think at this point, like, let's say the midpoint, the Jasons burst out of the auction house and like they go in the streets, and now it's like, okay, Jason actors, they've probably figured out that probably right before the auction, they break out of the auction house, one of the actors like really injures or does damage to the Jason that he played. So it's like, wait, when you attacked my Jason, nothing happened. When I attacked my Jason, like something real damaging happened. Yeah, what's that? It's like, oh no.
Okay,
I,
yeah.
I
So
think I think
the
we
lance,
have to do it.
the thing, like you said, suggested with the lance, it could
Yeah.
be Ken Kersinger doing that to a Kane Hodder Jason, whether it's
Right.
7, 8, or 9, and that's when something else can happen, and maybe Ken can injure his Freddy vs. Jason, and that's when
Yeah.
he's like, hang on. I couldn't injure your Jason, but I can. And they're like, okay, boys, we've got to lock targets with our Jasons. Keep your eyes on them.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to work.
This feels so filmic. Like, actually it does. It feels like a film scene where they're sitting there and they're freaking it out. And what I like is the audience can completely understand that. It's simple enough of an explanation. And we've seen it visually in like the encounters. I was like, and I love if we paired it with, it's not our responsibility. We're just actors. Let the cops deal with it. And then they go, oh God, it is our responsibility. It's like, we actually, we're the only ones who can stop this. And it's like, I knew I shouldn't have went to that meetup this year. I should have skipped the meetup this year. They're so kind of John McClane disgruntled about I cannot believe I've got to do this. Okay. So what happened to mine? It's like, what do you mean? You don't know what happened to yours? It's like, it's been years. Like, you've never watched your film? I don't watch my own films. You've been signing like autographs for decades. You've never even seen your film? And it's like, who watches their own films? Like, there's so much fun you can have with that where they have to explain to each other, like, there was a, what? Oh, yeah. There was a scene where I had a flaming machete. That's pretty cool,
Yeah, and it could be that quick little bit of banter of, again, bringing CJ Graham into it, because at the end, the chain down in the lake, the propeller, and they could be like all just yelling at each other, and Kane or Ken could be like, CJ, your Jason was drowned in the lake with a chain around him in the propeller, and he could be like, where the fuck am I going to find a lake and a propeller right now in the middle of Los Angeles? And then everyone could be like, Kane, you got it the worst, man, because you've got, was it 4 Jasons? Is it 7, 8, 9 Jason X?
Yeah.
So he's got his work cut out for him.
But that's what I was thinking. That does he have 1 Jason or does he have 4? Like, we could play it either way. That 1 is representative of them, or he has 4 and he has the hardest job of all. It just depends on how much running time we want to do
up a bit. I feel like it mixes things up a bit, and he's always very, he's very proud and out there of like he is like the main Jason in real life. Like that's what Kane does. That's Kane. I feel like having 4 of your counterparts there makes things a bit interesting. It kind of like ups the ante a bit, and then you got CJ Graham, and then you got Ken. And Ari Lehman. Like, Ari Lehman's Jason is a little kid, but I don't know, he could be a biter.
I think that's also where the final girls come in. These these actors have to split up, and they probably need to have like their final girl counterparts to help them like lure the Jasons and use them as bait and strategize. Like, otherwise you just have actors on their own. But actually bringing cast members from their own film to help them going, look, how did we do it? And probably the counterparts know, they have a better memory of what happened than they do.
Well, that's
like,
the thing.
That scene?
If this
we did that thing. It's like, yeah.
If this auction's taking place with, let's just say it's a Friday the 13th themed auction at the prop store, and some of the female actresses are there. Some of the final girls that were there as well, just at the auction house. So that's where at least they're in the same location. Then it can't be a thing where they call them up and like, can you come on down? And they're like, yeah, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Like, no, they're there on location. And then that then can lead into the final, the actresses having to become real life final girls to help their actors.
And then maybe the one from, I don't know their names, but the actress from the final chapter, part 4, doesn't show up, and then later she shows up and saves that actor. So you have this moment where you're like, "Oh, you made it!" Like, so it's like, like she didn't show up. Maybe she doesn't really like the legacy, but like later on in the streets, she shows up and helps save him from their Jason. I think that kind of thing could be quite fun. But we're in the streets now. We basically figured out our Jason actors have figured out the plan. We've got to separate these. We've got to distract them, and we've got to individually kill them ourselves. And then they pair off with their own crew, their cast members, you know? And so they all separate. I think that's actually going to be quite fun because then you have all these different scenarios and different locations of Jason battles that happen. Yep. So if we want to go for part 2, that's Jason with a sack on his head.
Yep.
And he is that hillbilly one. And
he is,
so
yep.
The actor who played him is going to try to stop him. And I'm just trying to think of, like, is there a dilapidated house that they could find themselves in? Now, you know, we're in LA, I get that, but it's like, is there any way that we can kind of bring in, like, part 3 has the barn? Is there any way we can kind of bring in those kind of settings as well? I think it's going to be too difficult, so we probably have to keep it a little stripped down and cleaner. But we can play with what they do in these encounters, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, you could even, let's say with, like, Kane's got his work cut out for him with 4 Jasons, but he, along with, like, some of his castmates, fellow cast members from part 8, run into a deli or a restaurant or a diner or something, and it could be one of those things where, I don't know if you know Ken Kersinger's in part 8 as well, yeah?
No. I haven't seen that one in like 15 years, so I can't recall.
When Jason goes into the diner, the guy that comes from around the counter, he's like, all right, pal, you got to get out of here, and Jason throws him against the mirror. That's Ken Kersinger, actually. So it could be one of those things where, yeah, Ken and everyone run in, and then that particular Jason runs in, and then some dude, like not Ken Kersinger, they could emulate that. And Ken could Kane could drop a line and just be like, this is way too familiar. Like, it's all coming back to me. But have those moments when they split up where this is now paying homage and respect to all these Jasons before they're ultimately destroyed. It's that one little hurrah, even though it's not really a hurrah, there's carnage going on.
And then do you think the way they can do it is basically get them down and then pull the mask off, and once the mask is off, then that Jason's gone? Something that is kind of similar, so we're not just... Because I'm thinking the first couple of films end with, like, Jason getting, like, a shot to the head. Like, just gets stabbed, like, just like a machete in the head, and it's like, well, to kill that Jason, that's kind of odd, but it kind of makes sense if you pull the mask off, you eliminate the spirit, but it's impossible getting that mask off of this unstoppable juggernaut. So that's what their goal is like to injure them, to subdue them, and then, like the Infinity Gauntlet, you know, like just get the mask off the creature. So I think that does have this system in place that is a bit easier. But we can always play with, like, you know, part 3 gets the machete in the head because he's got that line already here. So that's where they catch him. He goes down. They whip the mask off. He disappears.
So here's a bit of a plot hole, because that's Richard Brooker, who passed away in 2013.
Okay.
So we got Richard Brooker, Ted White from Friday 4, and Steve Dash from Friday 2, who have passed away. So we don't have part 3 or 4, or do we? But then you also go back.
We don't need to go that many anyway, so we can leave them out because there's still lots of other.
There's still heaps, but then I'm came with like a bit of horror, like Sam Raimi style comedy injected into it, where, and I've just seen Send Help, so like I'm Sam Raimiing at the moment, where they figure out, okay, we got to get that mask off. We've got to beat him down, wear him down, and get that mask off and destroy the break the hockey mask, and that will, you know, break it, and they should go. But Ari Lehman can be like, my Jason doesn't have a mask, and they're like, cut his fucking head off or something. And he has to cut this little kid's head off. just something, and he's just like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just drowning them in the water, like in a puddle.
It's just like, not again.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That is super fun. Yeah, so that's basically kind of where we're going with it. Then I love, like what you said is even better. Actually, it's not just taking the mask off; it's destroying the mask, which does even bring in the arc of these actors of like, you're destroying the thing that you've been holding on to. It's like they showed up to pay tribute to these props, or maybe even try to bid for them. Like they're like, I'm so upset, I don't want to let go of this, so I want to own it. So they showed up with more agency of like, let's see if we can bid for these items. But in the end of the journey, they have to destroy all of these masks that defined who they were for so long, and then they need the help of their cast and from their films as well. So I think all of that makes perfect sense. But meanwhile, while this is happening, these Jasons are out there causing carnage. So what are some kind of scenarios or kills that you'd love to see in a Friday the 13th or a Jason film? Because this is the perfect opportunity to explore anything like that. Like any kind of unique kills. We could already play with the ladder. I love the idea of a cat being used as a weapon. Like a black cat is so Sam Raimi absurd, but I feel like that could fit in here. So from me, I would love to actually play with the superstitions. But do you have any kind of ideas for like specific unique kills? Like if you were going, they asked you, okay, what ways do you want to see Jason murder some pedestrians? What would that be like?
I think first one, and you mentioned it, the ladder, where somehow some idiot that's trying to take on Jason, or some tough guy trying to take on Jason, and the ladder comes down on him, and Jason pulls how ladders telescopically do that with the dude's head inside, just do that, and the head like crunches and flies off. Nice. But then I think this is where, like, if let's say hypothetically in the Multiverse of Madness, this film idea got approved, it's in production, a lot of the budget would go to this big special effects set piece where you could, ideally, if it was up to me, I would hire all of the effects artists that I look up to, like whether it be Chris Nelson, then you've got like the hyper realistic echelon of Kazuhiro, and be like, all right, fellas, go ham. Like let's get inventive. Like in Freddy vs. Jason, the mattress kill where he folds the guy up while the beer's still in his hand at the beginning of Freddy vs. Jason. But then I think if these guys are spilled out onto the streets of LA, what's very LA? Like landmarks aside, what can... I'm just trying to, like, something just so LA, like an LA style kill, or...
I can even see a moment where a couple of the Jasons are walking, and all of a sudden there's this like Jeep that pulls up, and it's all these teenagers going to Burning Man. So you actually have this like, they're not camping, but the modern day thing is like, oh, you're going like, they're like, woo, woo, and they're having a bit of fun, and these two Jasons look at each other and like then just go for the teenagers. So we get that teenage camper vibe within the streets of LA. So I think that could be really good, because we're missing that. But like, who goes like on? Maybe they do, but I'm not sure how many teenagers are going camping. I think more they're going to these outdoor festivals. So it's like that seems like the perfect modern equivalent is all these people dressed up, excited, driving this big Jeep. Like they can just become a set piece in and of themselves. Probably very early after the Jasons spill out into the streets. Like you get that, and you can have fun with that. Like they start chasing the kids spill out of the car, maybe one drives off, like they run down an alleyway, and then you get these classic teenage summer kid kills in a Jason film, which I think we've been missing up until now.
Yeah, exactly. And like you could have like, it could cut to phone footage of someone live streaming what's going on. It's like, oh my God. And then like Jason spots one of them and like launches the machete, and you see just the machete
I
them,
like
but also hit the phone screen. But again, like you said, the modern camper would go to Burning Man, and then everyone would be live streaming, having their phones out, and then it's just all eyes on Jason. So again, catering to what's going on now at the moment with social media and everything, but keep it very LA. Like I said, landmarks aside, it would be like a no holds bar thing. Like I'd really have to, I probably should have, but I really would have to put thought into like creative kills, creative over the top Jason kills. I feel like with each film, there is one that just is that shining star. Like, you know, part one, it's Kevin Bacon and the spear through the neck.
Right.
You know, there's just so many great ones, man. So that's what I'd want. Like from each Jason, a memorable a set piece of like showcasing some brilliant effects work, practical effects work.
I really love the idea that somebody was filming themselves. And has this happened in a Jason film where, and I've seen it where he hangs somebody up by the sleeping bag in like 2009's one, and the sleeping bag goes on fire. Then there was another one where it might be part 7, where he just takes a bag out and just beats somebody against a tree with it. Has there been Jason, one where he beats somebody to death with somebody else? So like,
yes,
he's just beating somebody with somebody.
That's Jason. I'm pretty sure that's Jason X. Hang on. I'm gonna Jason X sleeping bag. Jason X sleeping bag scene, and he's like Jason X the brutal sleeping bag kill. Yeah, because it's not reality, isn't it? It's that's right. He beats someone with someone in a sleeping bag. Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think we can still do that outside of a sleeping bag. The Burning Man kids, one of them gets battered down by the other one used as a weapon with the like from the camera phone's point of view, fell on the ground sideways, so horizontal.
Yeah.
But like, it's like just battered. And I think that could be quite a fun one. It's very in keeping. It's brutal. There's a simplicity to it, which I like because some of these kills are amazing. But I'm always kind of drawn to like the simple ones where he isn't a Machiavellian killer. He's like, what's around me? I'll use this. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. I think also if some of the Jasons were on the Walk of Fame where the Chinese theater is and all the people, the dodgy people that dress up and take money for selfies, someone could be there as Jason. And I'm just trying to think how would that go.
So people are taking photos with that Jason.
Yes. Yeah.
And while they're posing, that Jason's head is pulled off, and the other real Jason shows up behind the person. So they get the photo, they turn around, it's like, ah! So
or everyone can draw their attention to a real Jason, and the Jason impersonator's like, oh, no, what the fuck? This is my turf.
I like
Goes up to the real Jason, he's like, hey, idiot, what are you doing? And then turn around and just like... something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can even be like, he lifts his mask off, it's like goblin face, like, puts his mask back on.
Like in part 8 where he kicks the boombox and does that.
yeah. Listen, I'm so sorry about that. I'm going to walk away. And he doesn't get away. Like, but those kind of like nearly Looney Tunes-esque kind of moments.
This whole movie is.
Yeah, for real. All right. So I think we're now getting to the end now. We got a barrel towards the end. We've had each Jason actor, with help, eliminate each of their own Jasons, and how they've done it is similar to their own film, but they get them down, remove the mask, destroy the mask. That specter of the Jason vanishes or disintegrates or burns up, or however you want to visualize that. Then you're going to have that moment where they all kind of come together and they're like, it's done. I think we're finished, you know? And then one more Jason comes out and they're like, which one is that? Is that from 2009? Is that Derek Mears' Jason? It's like, what happened to him? But where is he? Didn't he die? And it turns out, no, that is Derek Mears. And they all have to work together now to defeat this guy, to get the mask off of Derek, who still won't let go of his past. They have all gotten over their past and basically destroyed the mask and went, look, it's time to move on. Derek, who kind of kicked this whole thing off, refuses to. So they have to take the mask from him. And that's, I think, where that third act is. That could be I guess scene-wise, could this be at the Man Chinese Theater? Or, like, what's the location? I'm a big fan of, like, the final scene locations.
You could just go down the road, and it is literally just down the road to Paramount Studios.
Great. Why not?
Look, the Chinese theater would be great. Whether it's Chinese theater or Paramount, I feel like Paramount, as cool as that is, it's like too on the nose. But I think as well, that's when... Derek reveals himself, reveals his Machiavellian scheme. He can't let things go. He was promised 3 films with his contract, and he only got 1. And the quick little CJ Graham thing, I only got 1. It's like, shut up, Graham. And from there, it's just like, okay, well, we've got one more mask left to destroy. But, you know, Derek Mears is a pretty big boy. Like, and he's, I think, the youngest out of all of them. So this is going to require a lot.
Is it a graveyard? Do they kind of get to a cemetery or something? So
Could
we're
be
actually
the
not
Hollywood
going
Forever Cemetery.
Yeah, I feel like that's an appropriate place to put down a legacy. You know,
absolutely.
There's so many films started with Jason's grave, you know, or Pamela's grave, and it's like I feel like I agree. The studio's too meta. Like you're actually just kind of playing too deep into the joke. Whereas, no, I think it should be a bit more in keeping, like a bit more tonally better if they end up all at the cemetery to face off against the final Jason.
And they have to destroy and bury him and destroy and bury the masks. And that's it. It's just burying the past, and that's it. In the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Yeah.
This sounds awesome. Yeah. So, like, I think it's going to take immense teamwork from all these people who have never worked together. It's going to take their cast as well. And I really see the scene from Infinity War where they're all taking on Thanos and they nearly have the gauntlet off his hand. Like I just have that as like what the scene is. It's brutal. It's there's probably a funeral happening as well, because that means that our final Jason can like wipe some people out during it, and people are hiding behind tombstones, and you kind of want to have that a bit more life to the a bit more life to the cemetery, but like you want some more people involved.
Yeah, so is this where also the boys are too overpowered, and this is where our final girls can come in and be the real final girls and essentially put the nail in the coffin, the final nail in the coffin with Derek?
I think so. I think that seems pretty good. You know, because again, in how we've set this up, those actors who play Jason can only defeat their Jasons. So in our own rules, it doesn't work. But do you know who could defeat this Jason? The final girl from his film. You know? Like that that makes sense. So like they all work together, but then they push the actress from that film up front.
She could come in at the very last minute when everyone's like, it's not working, and she could just come in with a machete or something and just the final blow. Or
what about that? Remember I said earlier that one of the actresses didn't show up earlier.
That's right. Yeah,
it could be her. So instead of part 4 or whatever I said, it would be the 2009 version. Like the actress didn't show up, which annoys Derek as well because he had a 3-picture deal. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody really appreciates the work he did. Like, she's not even here. But in the end, she's the one who shows up, like, when it's, like, nearly all done and dusted. They're all down on the ground in the dirt. They're like, how do we do it? She comes flying in with machete in hand, chops at Derek, you know, gets the mask off him. Do you think she kills him? That's a bit brutal to kill Derek. I think maybe it just gets to the point where she can get the mask off him and he has to sit there defeated. And as the actor, he has to admit, look, I'm done. So he had to also learn that lesson. I mean, you can do the thing where you've killed the Jason out of him, so you get that. But it feels brutal to kill the actor who's playing himself.
Yeah, like poor Derek Mears. He's like considered one of the nicest Jason actors, and I think that's why it's so funny that he's the most bitter in our story.
Yeah. So I think you can defeat that Jason in that climactic moment where all hope is lost. Nobody can defeat him. The final girl from that episode shows up, chops Jason down. That's enough time for them to get the mask off, smash it. Derek is sitting there like trembling, and like as it's all kind of like pouring out of him, like it's all draining from him. They're like, it's over, you know. And then you have that shot where there's a big hole in the cemetery, and they're just taking all the fragments of all the masks and just burying them. It's like the past is done. Like Jason's no more.
Yep. I love that. I would also love to tack on just a sweet little scene between all of them. Just, reminiscing, but also, have something, just very poetic and very looking back on everything that's just happened. And, we don't always have to live in the past, but here we are now. We're still friends. This is an amazing thing. It's just something a bit sappy, but we just have to end on a little hook. This could just be a one and done, or just end on a little hook that, he's still around somewhere.
I know what the hook is as well.
Let's hear it.
They've just buried all the masks, shattered and kind of put together, like just kind of spread into the ground. The ending should be that you see that the hole is empty, and then it goes somewhere, and somebody has remodeled a mask using fragments from all the masks. We don't know who it is, but you get that. And you're like,
you don't see
oh my
who
God,
it
there's
is.
a mask made of every single one of the Jason masks. It's just a reconstructed one. And then you can sell a hell out of that as merchandise as well. But a reconstructed hockey mask based on all the other Jason masks that were destroyed in the film.
It's funny you just said that, because originally my concept was, instead of different Jasons, like from each film, it was an amalgamation of each Jason, like put together. But that at the end is brilliant. You don't see who it is. You just see some hands putting the finishing touches on, like, gluing or piecing or stapling together, like what happened to Chucky and Bride of Chucky with Tiffany putting him back together, something like that. And you just end on and that's it. Yeah.
And then if you wanted to come back, that's the new Jason, is that version. If you ever wanted to go, look, we're going to do another one. Well, it would be an amalgamation Jason because of the mask. It's just kind of built that way. But that's a story for another Story Breakers. Chris, I think we did it. I think we got
that was fun.
Friday the 13th, the final Jason.
The final Jason. Yeah, look, it's such a wacky idea, but thank you for humoring me with it. As soon as I came up with it, I was like, I need to do this because my audience knows this. Props mean a lot to me, and I get fascinated by that stuff, but also just the meta approach and the actors as well. Like, the actors mean a lot to a lot of us horror fans, Jason fans, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure. This was fun.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I think you done right, you get such a kick out of that. I think we're in that era where people can accept it. We just went through metaverses, which in my opinion got too complicated. Like, the audience can only kind of hold on to that concept a bit much. Even when I was a kid, I was reading comic books, Marvel, and once they got into the metaverse, parallel universes, I would go, you're losing me, guys. This has, I think, a little bit of that, but still centered enough into, like, okay, I can understand it. So that's one thing I like about this, is even though initially it's like, what is this? How it's presented and rolled out has a logic, and it's simple enough to follow along. Like the idea that I can't kill yours, but I can kill mine. Just it's clean. It's actually very clean. So yeah, great job, Chris. Love the concept.
I think next we've got to do Elm Street, because I've got a lot, and I've talked about it in the past before with a video, but it'd be interesting to hear your take as well. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. It was kind of nice to have those moments of, oh, like for an Easter egg, or that certain sequence or that certain kill in the film. You could pay them. There's so, if you had an endless budget, you could have so much fun and do so much with this. But yeah, it obviously does come off as very very silly at times. But hey, some of the Friday films are.
They are indeed. So that's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed this is part of an entire series of touring episodes. So go to Storybreakers and check out the Friday the 13th playlist, where you're going to see the rest of these episodes we've done with Lee McCoy from Drum Dums, Cody Leach, and more. But since this is hosted on Chris's channel, I will let Chris have the final sign off.
Oh, thank you, man. Chris, you're an absolute gentleman, man. Again, thank you for trusting me with such a bombastic concept. And yeah, you definitely built up my confidence since the first time we did this with the Christmas slasher. That was a lot of fun. I was doubting myself a lot, but I think you've got such a great concept here where once the flow starts, the conversation starts, it just becomes so endless. And I love that, those little, like, when we bounce stuff off one another, and like you've done the same with Cody and Lee, it's addictive. But then when it's something based around a franchise that I know, it's at next level. So yeah, dude, definitely gonna have to pick your brain a bit about Elm Street. But yeah, I'm really excited for people to watch this one. Just hopefully get a kick out of it. It's just a bit of fun, but I had a lot of fun with this one. So yeah, Chris, you're an absolute gem, my friend. Thank you so much. Guys, let me know your thoughts down below on this one. What would you do different? And also, feel free to pitch your own Friday the 13th film, and how would you follow up? Would you start again? Like Chris said, hard reboot. Let us know. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.